A beeping sound echoed through the darkness as electronic systems came to life. An airplane approached from a distance, its engines humming steadily through the night air, growing louder with each passing moment. A figure stirred to consciousness, awakening to the sounds of nature and technology surrounding them in the pre-dawn silence. A colonel entered the room and was promptly dismissed with a gesture. An exchange took place between a retired operative and a mysterious official of considerable authority. The official noted with measured observation that 4 years had passed since the operative's retirement, yet respect was still shown through formal protocol. The operative confirmed that both father and grandfather had served in military or intelligence capacities throughout their lives. The official outlined the operative's military record with clinical precision. As an elite sniper, they had amassed 113 confirmed kills with an additional 81 probable kills attributed to their actions. The operative quickly corrected this assessment, stating the actual numbers were significantly greater than the files suggested. The official noted with evident interest that the operative was a scarce talent, perhaps one of the few in the world with such capabilities. An accordion began playing Bach's Cello Suite No. 1 in G major, the melancholic composition filling the room. A greeting occurred between father and son, their relationship evident in the warmth of the exchange. The son announced his arrival with genuine warmth and affection. The father raised his glass in solemn toast, offering tribute to music as a unifying force. He addressed his son with affection, "My little lion," and inquired about his well-being and travels. A rumor was discussed regarding the son's recent movements in Belarus. The son explained it was likely a drone operation, suggesting surveillance rather than direct contact. The father made a troubling revelation about his current circumstances and health. A specialist had provided examination results during their separation. Cancer was consuming him from within the liver, and pancreas were affected by the progressive disease. Death, he suggested, would be a welcome relief from the suffering. The father expressed profound concern about what would happen if his son were not back on time for a significant date. He had made a definitive decision about his fate and the timing of his own demise. Valentine's Day was specifically chosen as the date he would take his own life, assuming he wasn't already dead from disease. The father gave clear, final instructions. His son should look at the Hunter constellation in the night sky on that date as their final communication across the separation that duty would impose. An airplane began its descent toward the hidden facility, its engines changing pitch. Clattering sounds accompanied the approach toward the ground. A figure exited the aircraft and entered a facility where rigorous security protocols were strictly enforced. An airman in uniform instructed the new arrival to place their left hand on a biometric identification pad. All personal items, watch, smartphone, and identification documents were collected into a secure case before the operative could proceed further. A voice greeted the new arrival with theatrical flair and measured enthusiasm. Jasper D. Drake introduced himself as a Royal Marines commando with a distinctive accent. The newcomer introduced himself as Levi Kane, a former United States Marine scout sniper with extensive combat experience. JD explained with evident emotion that the operative Levi was the first person they had spoken to face-to-face in an entire year of isolated duty. Levi was shown their new assignment West Tower Observation Post, a remote installation. It was completely self-sufficient with solar power arrays and reliable generator backup systems. Wild game was plentiful in the surrounding wilderness, and a well-maintained garden provided a steady supply of fresh produce. Everything necessary for long-term survival in isolation was present. Across a vast gorge stood East Tower, strictly off-limits due to landmines, lethal tactical barriers, and standing orders forbidding contact. Daily maintenance tasks were explained in exhaustive detail. Ammunition needed regular restocking in the automatic gun turrets. The containment fence required daily checking for damage. Cloakers' sophisticated satellite transmitters placed at intervals needed constant monitoring. An armory in the bunker contained all necessary weapons, tools, replacement ammunition, and suspended mines for perimeter defense. Every 30 days, radio checks with command were mandatory requirements that could not be missed. Cloakers were described as sophisticated satellite transmitters that sent false signals to satellites passing overhead daily. This technology rendered the Gorge invisible to spy satellites, surveillance equipment, and commercial mapping services such as Google Earth. Communication with the outside world was severely restricted. Absolutely no cell phone service, no satellite phone access, and no outside contact of any kind was permitted. Air raid sirens were mounted prominently atop the tower for emergency alerts. The mysterious stray dog protocol would execute automatically if all cloakers failed simultaneously or external forces ever overran the gorge. A radio check procedure was conducted in accordance with strict protocol. West Tower was performing its monthly communication check with command. The person on the radio requested identification. The required code was provided: Alpha, Bravo, 9, 7, Omega. Enemy contact status was reported as negative. Cloaker's operational status was confirmed as green, indicating full functionality. The procedure was officially declared complete, with 30 days marked until the next required check. References to philosophical literature and historical quotations filled the silence at the tower. Robert Frost's literary work was referenced. Sartre's existential thoughts on isolation were recalled and contemplated. T.S. Eliot's warnings about personal risk-taking were discussed. Captain Bradford Shaw's dark observations about reality being fundamentally unendurable were noted and considered by both occupants. A voice sang in Lithuanian, wishing sincerely for a very long life for loved ones. The traditional melody repeated with gentle persistence throughout the evening. The song carried both warmth and a poignant, melancholic quality, as though offering blessings and prayers to someone they might not see again in life. A question was asked urgently in the darkness: "What are you doing?" The response was an exclamation of surprise or dismay. A formal greeting took place between the two occupants of their isolated installation. They acknowledged each other with respect. The cloaking technology protected them, making their presence entirely invisible to external surveillance systems. One person announced they had prepared rabbit pie as evening sustenance. Fresh flowers were produced as a thoughtful gift between the two. A comment was made about a noticeable odor from outdoor labor. The person acknowledged that they smelled terrible after extended manual work in challenging conditions. A conversation about their geographic location was initiated. Speculation ranged widely from Yukon to Siberia to remote Scandinavia. They were definitely in the far northern hemisphere, confirmed by careful seasonal observations made during their transport to the facility. A discussion about military accomplishments and personal records began between them. The longest recorded kill shot was mentioned with a specific distance 3,241 meters from the shooter. An impossible shot made in Yemen the previous May at 3,800 meters during high wind conditions was brought up. The person claimed they had not made that legendary shot. However, the other person revealed that they knew exactly who had made it through, thanks to intelligence sources. A discussion arose regarding the nature of truth and its psychological effects. One person shared their father's accumulated wisdom about the importance of secrecy. When they were a child, their KGB father would tell them they didn't want to know the truth about some issues. Too much truth, the father explained, fills the heart with sadness and the mind with madness. The other person disagreed. Fundamentally, hiding the truth from oneself caused far more sadness and madness than truth ever could. They learned this hard lesson the first time they pulled the trigger as a sniper. A question was posed playfully about dancing ability and previous deceptions. It was admitted that there had been significant exaggeration on that particular point. This led to shared laughter and a genuine connection between them. Stars were observed together in the clear northern sky. 3 bright stars close together formed Orion's Belt, a distinctive constellation. The hunter had been mentioned by a dying father who asked his son to look at this constellation on a specific date, knowing he had chosen to end his life on that date. The person revealed they wrote poetry almost every single day, finding an emotional outlet in verse. They had even taken a formal class, meeting on Wednesday nights from 4 to 7 p.m. at Mesa Community College. When asked if they possessed any particular talent for poetry, they claimed to be quite terrible at it. A poem was requested from them. They revealed they had started one recently. When pressed for the title, they reluctantly shared it. She collapsed the night. The response was overwhelming emotion and genuine affection from their companion. An explosion suddenly rocked the facility with tremendous force. Shrieks and chaos erupted throughout the underground installation. Mutated beings emerged from the darkness, hollow men from past wars, lost battalions from the 1940s, somehow kept alive by unknown processes. They moved with apparent hunger and predatory intent, attacking the two people now trapped in their domain. A critical realization emerged during their struggle for survival. They had lost the auto-ascender device in the river during their descent. 500 meters of vertical distance remained to reach the top of the gorge. They were effectively trapped below, surrounded by increasingly dangerous creatures. T.S. Eliot's famous quotation echoed through the gorge haunted by these beings. "This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper." The poem describes people stuck between life and death, a fitting and accurate description for the hollow men who are perpetually trapped in this facility. A recorded message played automatically from a backup generator, dated July 12th or 13th, 1946. The message explained that a community had been formed as part of a top-secret international coalition of nations. During World War II's final years, while Oppenheimer and Los Alamos developed atomic bombs, this isolated facility developed similarly destructive biochemical missiles. The true nature of the facility was finally revealed, a chemical missile installation of terrible purpose. An earthquake had caused the missiles to rupture and leak their toxic payload. The contaminant was dispersed throughout the cavern in poisonous fog. The hollow men originated from soldiers exposed to these chemical weapons during testing. An escape plan was hastily devised using available resources. Old military jeeps with powerful hydraulic winches could function as makeshift auto-ascenders. The eastern wall of the gorge held the key to their escape. A nearby zip line could provide their only exit. Reflection on their ordeal began as they rested briefly during their struggle. The experience was described as surreal, like living within a waking nightmare of incomprehensible horror. Physical recovery would require a 5-day strict quarantine away from contamination. If infection from chemical exposure occurred, they would need to make the most challenging survival choices imaginable. A moment of profound vulnerability emerged between them. One person expressed wanting to leave with their partner more than anything else in the world, yet overwhelming responsibility weighed heavily on them both. If they left the facility, others would inevitably be brought in, forced to inherit the same terrible secrets and lies. Every hollow man represented a potential walking biohazard and contamination vector. A devastating but necessary solution formed in their minds. The Gorge facility needed to be destroyed to prevent further contamination. If they could survive 5 days without mutations appearing, they would meet again the following week. The commitment was absolute survive together and move forward together, always. A crucial exchange occurred over the shortwave radio. An employer called to inquire whether the Gorge facility had been entered. The operative denied having entered it. However, they mentioned seeing one of the facility's research drones fly out. The employer revealed the true nature of their research developing enhanced super soldiers to make American ground forces militarily unbeatable. A direct order came through the radio with unmistakable clarity. The operative was declared compromised and unreliable. A team would arrive in the morning. The operative would be eliminated by any means necessary. Chaos erupted as the operative fled into the wilderness. A helicopter approached overhead, searchlights sweeping the terrain. Escape became the only priority for survival. Drones swept the compound systematically, searching every location. A message was found written on the wall of a bunker. It quoted the Buddha, "3 things cannot be long hidden, the sun, the moon, and the truth." Below this wisdom, the name Levi Kane had been deliberately written. The operative had chosen to expose the truth rather than remain complicit. A terrible realization spread through the command center. The cloaking transmitters had been rigged with explosives by the operative. The facility's concealment was catastrophically failing. Sirens wailed urgently as the stray dog protocol activated. The gorge was becoming exposed to satellite observation and external discovery. Orders for immediate evacuation were issued to all personnel. Aircraft were prepared for emergency takeoff. All caution and safety protocols were abandoned in favor of maximum speed. The facility descended into complete operational chaos and confusion. A reunion took place in an unexpected location, a restaurant kitchen far from the compound. The operative appeared and explained that they had been injured and were seeking new employment. When asked about qualifications, they mentioned being a good shot. Their most recent kill shot was at 3,900 meters. They had needed to beat their previous record. The reason they had returned to this person and place was stated: they loved them and needed to be together.